as you might have guessed from the title of the video, we're going to learn how to craft the best cold DM script, plus what actually matters, which is how to build an effective selling process for your agency or coaching offer. Okay, guys? And listen, of course, in order to actually solve this issue and in order to really craft an amazing cold DM angle that is going to allow people to not only see your message, but most importantly, reply to it, we need to dive deep into the mind of your prospects, okay? And I also need you guys to understand why people buy or why they don't buy your stuff, and of course discovering an effective selling process. Okay, and listen, this is going to be just part one of the series on building sales processes inside of your client acquisition infrastructure. Okay, so today we're going to dive into the, let's say, rationale behind the selling process, what you need to aim for, and also about what happens in the minds of your prospects so that you can create the best DM script. And on the next video that we're going to share on this channel, we're also going to dive deep into, well, the actual selling process that we use and that we teach our clients. Okay, and the reason why I wanted to create this video is because everybody is literally just searching for a one end-to-end solution to the best DM script, the best DM angles, the best type of messages to send. And guys, you will be actually laughing at yourself once you actually discover that the biggest things that are going to have an impact in whether or not somebody replies to you, and therefore if someone books a call or not with you, doesn't really have to do that much with just the actual angles that you're using. It has more to do with something that we like to call intra-channel legitimacy, okay? And as always, guys, if you are not, go follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Those are the two channels where I spend most of my time in, aside from YouTube. And also, if you want to get access to this document, you can get access to it by literally just joining my free Facebook group, okay? So all you will have to do is, well, go to the link that is going to be there, also in the description. Once you're here, all you gotta do is come to the master resource folder and leave a comment, okay? In that way, I will share everything with you. So the first thing that we need to understand, guys, that prospecting, aka sending DMs, cold emails, connecting with other people in different social media channels, is not an isolated activity. What that means is that this is actually just the initial phase of the selling process or your client acquisition system. And listen, there are different phases in the entire process, but ultimately, the goal that we have with our selling process is to close as many calls as possible, or at least as many as we want. That's ultimately the goal of any selling process for any sort of business. Since there are different steps that make up the entire selling process or the entire client acquisition system, or different, let's say, components to that process or that system, we'll only be able to work at any stage as high as the level or standard of the previous step allow us to work. And let me give you an example. I just made my reporting here because I wanted you to actually have a clear idea on what this looks like. Listen, at any stage, let's say that the process of getting clients looks something like this. First, you find leads, then you approach the lead, then you get a reply from the lead, then you potentially follow up with the lead, then you book a call with the lead, and then you close the client, and then you get a client, okay? So, as you might have noticed, getting clients is not just saying, hey, let me send a DM in order to get a client. You need to, first of all, find leads, etc., etc., etc. So there are different parts to this equation. And what I was trying to say before, and just to make a little bit more of a visual example of what I'm trying to say, is that if you want to have one client, you need to insert as many inputs to this system or to this funnel or to this pipeline as you need in order to hit this milestone. So what I'm trying to talk more about is about the concept of maximizing every step of the journey. And why? Because you will only have as many calls booked as the amount of people that you follow up with, okay? You can only make as many follow-ups as the amount of replies that you actually get from your leads. You will only get as many replies as the amount of people that you actually approach before. And you will only be able to approach as many people as much as you can actually find them on the internet, regardless of the channel, okay? The point that I'm trying to make is that, of course, you want to maximize, and you know me, I'm all about having KPIs and maximizing and doing a lot of volume, etc. But ultimately what matters is that you cannot have the outcome without having the inputs at every stage of the journey, okay? So that's the first thing that I want you guys to understand. Just sending that cold DM script or that initial angle is just one part of the journey, okay? That's just one part. And I don't want you guys to get lost and so fixated into what's the best thing, when in reality there are a lot of other things that you need to answer, okay? But that being said, this is the process. There is an entire set of components that make up that selling process, okay? So in order to craft that best cold DM script, the one question that we need to answer is the following. What is the needed component or components that will make our selling process lead more likely to the next logical step? At any time, that's the question that we need to ask, aka how can we make more people than not actually reply to our DMs? Once we get the replies, how can we get more people to actually book a call with us? And then once we have as many calls as we can, how can we actually close as many of these people as we can? You see? So this is the question that we need to ask and that we need to maximize at every stage of the selling process, okay? And the reason why we want to ask this question is because it will allow us to identify the key indicator that we need to maximize in the entirety of our sales process. And of course, there are going to be different answers depending of who you ask this. I will give you my answer in a second, but yeah, there might be a lot of other factors, like for example, the story or the background on, for example, how much people resonate with you. There might be another component, like when is it that you actually reach out to the person. For example, if you reach out to someone, let's say somebody never invested in any sort of coaching program, for example, because they never had money. So if you reach out to people when they don't have money, they are never going to pretty much reply to you. But let's say that somebody just closed a 50K deal and you reach out to them in the next day. Guess what? They are going to be more likely to actually reply to you because now they have capital, okay? But again, that's another point. What I'm trying to say is like, there might be a lot of factors on why somebody might want to reply with you or why somebody is going to reciprocate more with you instead of our competitors or vice versa. But ultimately, what I want to give you is a short answer on the single metric that we've noticed time and time again that seems to be the answer to everything. And my short and basic answer, and that I deem to be true, is the one simple KPI that you want to maximize in every stage of the journey is trust. As long as you're able to generate trust from your audience, from your leads, from whatever you're doing inside of your selling process, you're going to maximize the likelihood of them actually taking themselves to the next part of the process. You can have the most no-brainer offer, because I know that a lot of people say, hey man, the thing that you need to maximize is your offer, the thing that you need to maximize is your volume, what you gotta maximize on is on the amount of content, etc. But I think that is just in the generation of trust with the efforts that you put, whether in your sales department or your marketing department. Because you can have the most no-brainer offer and people will still buy from you, regardless if that's because of the perceived likelihood of achievement of the outcome or something else. Because I am 100% convinced that 99% of businesses out there, at least marketing agencies, coaches, consultants, have no-brainer offers already. And why? The reason why is because everybody has already read Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers. And guess what? That even if that's a great book, and I think that everyone should read it, the reality is that that's not enough for people to actually buy from you. Why? Because there are a lot of other things that need to happen. Okay, that's number one. And number two, because when you have this one thing playing in your favor in the mind of your prospects, aka trust, what's going to happen is that ultimately it doesn't matter what you do or what you sell, people will still buy from you because they trust your judgment. If you have ever invested in any coaching program, in any agency service, in any high ticket product whatsoever, chances are that yeah, they might have delivered a great experience or maybe not so great, but there was something about them that you simply said, hey, you know what? I want to buy from this guy, regardless of what they sell, because I just trust that they have the best judgment to deliver the outcome that I have, okay? At this point, you might be like, dude, I don't know what this has to do with the best or cold DM script. You will see what I mean in just a second, but these are the things that we need to be asking ourselves, or the things that we need to be maximizing for, so that we can not only have more clients, but also maximizing the amount of people that reply to our cold DMs. And you will see how in a second, okay? Having said that, the single thing that we need to maximize in our selling process is trust, but how can we create or increase the existing trust that we have from our prospects, both in our mechanism to deliver the outcome and in us as a company or business? This is the thing that we need to focus on day and night. And as long as you actually are getting closer to this, everything's going to be really, really simple and straightforward, okay? And I'm going to share with you what we've noticed work best for us and our clients. So here's how most people think that getting clients looks like. You send a cold DM, let's say on Instagram, and you get a book call, okay? People think that that's the way that selling processes work. Like, hey, you just put inputs and you get outputs. And I know when it comes to a system, that's how it works. But inserting volume into a system by itself is not enough to deliver the outcome of that system. You need to understand the system so that you actually can see the nuances in every step of the journey, and from there maximize or increase the effectiveness of every stage of the journey. So here's how getting clients actually looks like. Because again, it's not just sending cold DMs so that you can get book calls. It's something more along the lines of this. You send cold DMs, then what is going to happen is that your lead is going to check your profile. Then what is going to happen is that your lead is going to like the content and visit the link in your bio. Then what is going to happen is that lead is going to visit your website or other links that you have in your bio or in your profile. And then what is going to happen is that, let's say that you send them a cold DM on Instagram and they don't really like to use Instagram. but they are raving fans on Twitter. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to choose the channel of preference according to whatever it is that they prefer. So for example, if there are guys that really like LinkedIn, they're going to search you on LinkedIn. If they like Twitter, they're going to search for you on Twitter. And guess what? This is also why it's super important to understand your ICP, because then what you want to do is maximize your efforts in the platforms that this target audience is already at. So guess why I'm making these YouTube videos? Yeah, of course, I like to record these YouTube videos. I like to create content. I think that is the best platform in general for brand awareness and to actually repurpose content later on. But it's also because I know that you guys are on YouTube. You're seeing Serge Gattari, you're seeing Charlie Morgan, you're seeing Joel Kaplan, you're seeing Thomas Gonnet, you're seeing Iman Gatsi. And I know, guess what? Even if I'm not at their level yet, what I can assure you is that I will someday. And because of that reason, I just need to start putting content and try to exist in the metaverse where my competitors are. And that's what you need to be thinking for yourself. Guess why am I trying to go so hard on Twitter? I mean, 6 months ago, I didn't even have a Twitter account. And now this is the platform that I'm trying to push the hardest when it comes to my outreach efforts. Why? Because I know that for most of you guys, you are on Twitter. And that's the same type of thought process that you need to have for yourself, okay? But again, Cold DM, check your profile, likes content, visits website, then choose a channel of preference. Of course, if you're in the channel of preference already, it's like one step that you take up of the journey. Then they see more content, maybe. And then guess what? You don't get a good call in your calendar. What you're going to get is a reply, okay? And that's what you gotta start distilling these nuances, because this is when you actually start maximizing every step of the journey. If you are sending cold DMs, you're sending cold emails, guess what? The person is going to type the burner domain in their browser, they're going to visit your website or other links, and then they're going to choose their channel of preference. That's what you also gotta be on all of the channels, because then what's going to happen is that you're going to have more touch points and more credibility when different prospects have different stories, different platforms they prefer, etc. So all of these things that don't necessarily have to do with the actual angle that you're using, guess what? Is what dictates whether or not they actually reply to you in the first place, okay? So here's where things start to get a little bit deep, and I need you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say, okay? And this is something that I typically just reserve for my clients, but I want to share with you guys on today's video. There are two main factors to increase trust in the sales process that have to do with your social channels and overall mission statement as a company, okay? And again, these ones don't necessarily have to do with the actual script you're going to use. What you need to start understanding is the concept of what we call intra-channel legitimacy and the concept of omni-channel logic, okay? Let's say that you're doing outreach on Facebook, okay? What is going to happen is that your prospects, once you send them a cold DM, what they are going to do is that they're going to check your feed. And let me just do an example here. What happens is that, let's say that you are on Facebook. If you have this is you have your nice picture over here, you have your call to action and your mission statement in your banner, and you have your bio, okay? And let's say that the latest post that you have in your Facebook profile is aligned to this mission and is aligned to this bio, okay? But guess what's going to happen? What do you think that your prospects are going to think about you if the last time that you updated your bio was yesterday, and before yesterday you had a different call to action and a different mission? Of course, you lose a lot of credibility, don't you think? And also, let's say that you're talking in your latest post that the reason why most coaches are not getting clients is because they're not doing outreach, but in post number 2, 3, and 4, aka the previous post in your timeline, you actually were talking about the reason why they don't close as many clients as they want is because they don't have a YouTube channel. Do you think that your prospects are going to take you seriously and therefore that they are going to reply to your messages? Of course not, right? You need to actually have congruence in all of this channel, aka in your Facebook. Why? Because you're sending people, in the example that I'm giving, you're sending outreach from Facebook. What I need you guys to understand is that there needs to be alignment between the call to action, the bio, your post, aka your content marketing, the message that you're sending to them, and also, well, of course, in your overall messaging as a company, okay? That's the first thing, and that has to do with the one channel where you're doing your outreach from, okay? You need to have legitimacy in the channel that you're specifically using for the sake of the example. And the other thing that you need to have in mind is that you need to have omni-channel logic, okay? And what omni-channel logic means is the following. If this was just on your Facebook profile, okay, the intra-channel legitimacy, you need to have basically the same level of congruency across Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, I don't know, let's say TikTok, whatever it might be, okay? Because I don't know how many times it has happened that somebody sends me a cold DM and that I am like, dude, I honestly will reply to this guy, like he seems legit. I go to their profile and it's like, dude, this sounds really cool. But then I go to their LinkedIn and their LinkedIn is something super different to what they have on Facebook. Their Instagram is super different to what they have on LinkedIn. Their YouTube content is about a whole different industry whatsoever. Guess what? Do you think that I'm going to buy? Of course not. And even if and this is where things start to get magical. Even if I did reply, or even if I even have a conversation with you, of course, by the time that I book a call, I will do a research about what is it that you do, because do you think that you or me or anybody in the world is going to pay you $5,000, $10,000, $8,000 without at least doing a Google search of who you are, what you do, if you have case stories, etc.? Of course not. So because of that reason, what you need to do is maximize the trust that you generate to your prospects in every single way, shape, or form. And those things don't necessarily have to do with the exact angle you're using in your Instagram outreach, okay? The way this is going to look like, actually, is going to be something like this. You send cold email or cold DM, the lead is going to check your profile. If you seem legit, they are going to answer neutrally or positively to your DM. If you don't seem legit, guess what? They are not going to answer you, they are going to block you, and they are going to make fun of you, okay? Let's say that they answer to their DM, okay? What is going to happen from there is that they're going to read one or two posts from your profile, and if those things resonate with him or with her, guess what's going to happen? They're going to read more, and they're going to go to your other socials, typically YouTube, but it can be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. They might join your Facebook group, etc. And then they start learning about you, your case studies, your mechanism, etc. All of this leads to you having more influence, and this ultimately ends up in you having a book call in your calendar, or even better, a new client inside of your community, right? If the content doesn't resonate with the prospect, guess what? You're going to have a harder time booking and closing altogether. So that's what you need to actually take people and generate trust in every single step of the way, okay? I don't want to finish this video without actually giving something that you can implement right away when it comes to the DM scripts or the cold email templates that you can use. So having said that, what's the best cold DM script that you can use for your business? Really simple, guys. The best cold email script that you can use for your business is one that makes for an easy reply from your prospects while simultaneously position you as an authority. And this needs to be specific to their problems, okay? Like for example, I know that the biggest problem that my ideal clients have is booking meetings, aka coaches and agencies. The biggest problem they have is booking meetings. So I need to create something that is specific to the problem of solving the appointment setting problem. This needs to be low friction so that it's easy for them to say yes. And the actual thing that I'm going to say to them or that I'm going to offer to them for free on the initial touch point is going to be enjoyable and consumable without having to do a lot of effort, because that's another thing. Like most people say, hey, let's just send a super valuable mini course on how to solve all of the problems for your business as the initial cold DM. But if they don't trust you, they're not even going to spend 20 hours of their time going through your mini course. So what's the best cold email script or the best cold email angle that you can say is, number one, hey, name, noticed XXX about you and your business. Be real, keep it going. Okay, and also, if it wasn't obvious, send. You want to send just one block of text, otherwise it feels really automated and not really, let's say, human. So you want to always send something more as human as possible. You can say something like, also, I recently together a short document on how SEO agencies can book per day using micro VSLs. Mind if let me know. That's it, let me know. Guess what, guys? Let's say that you're targeting SEO agencies and you are actually sending 100 of these per day. I'm going to tell you something. If you don't get at least 15 replies, send me a DM and I will literally PayPal you $100 for making you lose your time, okay? But send 100 of these, actually engage with some of their posts, actually see and be real, give them a real compliment, and then send them something that is actionable towards their problems. I promise that you're going to get replies. And the reason why is because we ourselves do this, okay? Of course, this isn't the actual angle that I'm using. And of course, if you are not targeting SEO agencies, don't use this as an example. But just take all of these that I just shared into action. Like actually, let's say, optimize your profile. Make sure that you can maximize the level of trust that you generate by the links in your bio, by the content you're putting out, by the logic or the overall congruency across your different channels. And I promise you, you are never going to go hungry and you're always going to have more calls than you know what to do with, okay? So guys, I hope this video was helpful. Whenever you're ready, visit the link in the description to check our funnel, our selling proposition, and see how we can guarantee that you can add an extra 100 sales calls every single month and close to at least 20% of them. Okay, if that resonates with you, go to the link in the description, and if not, well, see you guys in the next one and keep crushing it. Bye.